I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thank you for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. You spend a significant portion of your life at work, so I'm on a mission to provide you with tools, inspiration, and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I'm really excited to have my very special guest on the show today, Lisa Stone. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Caroline.
You are the Chief Community Officer of She Knows Media. And Lisa, I want to tell the listening audience a little bit about you before we dive into a juicy conversation. You became the Chief Community Officer when She Knows Media acquired BlogHer Inc., which you co-founded with Elisa Camahort Page and Jory Desjardins in 2005. And as a CEO, you have charted BlogHer's path from a grassroots conference into a leading cross-platform media company, reaching 100 million unique visitors monthly, and powered a proprietary scalable technology platform. It's just extraordinary. I'm so excited to talk with you. And in 2013, Lisa was honored with Fortune Most Powerful Women Entrepreneurs Award, as well as Fast Company's the 1,000 Most Creative People in Business. So you are a rock star in every way. Lisa, we came together because you wrote a phenomenal article on the City blog about temporary courage. So I want to use that as a pointing off place for us. Tell me about temporary courage and the defining moment for you when you realized what temporary courage was all about.
Thank you, Caroline. You would not necessarily know this today, or if you have attended any of BlogHer's world-renowned conferences for women in social media, but I grew up as an incredibly shy, and I do mean painfully shy girl.
Okay.
My parents moved a lot, about 9 times by the time I was 9, and I was the
Wow.
oldest of four. I have two amazing younger sisters and a baby brother, and my parents had 4 kids in 6 years. I was so comfortable and happy at home that what my parents didn't know was that I was an incredibly shy girl at school. I mean, to the point of crying in class if I was
Yeah.
called on. I was absolutely thunderstruck with stage fright. Just the act of raising my hand could really move me to tears. So I think that a few of my teachers put a bug in the ear of my mother, who was also
Mm-hmm.
a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And she had some great advice for me because I think she could tell how increasingly isolated and lonely I was. This led to trouble making friends. It led to trouble making friends when we moved so often. I was just kind of struggling. And so my mother once came to me and she said, Lisa, look at those poor kids over there, probably pointing to some younger kids,
Mm-hmm.
friends, of my siblings. She's like, they're having a tough day. They just look so isolated. What if a caring older person like you could help them be less invisible just by saying hi or smiling to them? Like,
Ah,
what if you're the only person who smiles at them today?
wow.
And that just broke my heart because I was slowly becoming invisible. So I started saying hi and being really nice to the younger kids. And, this is a small school in Missoula, Montana. K through 8 we didn't have middle schools, right? That's
Yeah,
how old
yeah,
I
you were
am.
all together. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I slowly but surely began reaching out just because I had empathy, even though I didn't have courage.
Mm-hmm.
And these little acts of temporary courage built up to, slowly but surely, an ability for me to raise my hand in class, the ability for me to excel. And even as I co founded this company with Elisa and Jory in 2005, to begin the process of public speaking in front of hundreds and then thousands of other people. Today, Blockers events are designed to help everyone who participates find that moment of temporary courage where they can reach out either to ask a question, get educated on technology that they're interested in, or offer help to somebody else. So it really, I don't think I would have become a journalist or started doing what I do today if it weren't for all that.
Well, go mom, right?
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you,
mom.
Mom.
Well, what I love about temporary courage, it doesn't mean we have to become fearless. We just have to own the moment, right? To make that pivotal change to say, okay, I'm going to give it a try. And what's the worst that could happen? And usually it's a very positive result.
You're right. And it's interesting. As someone who has transitioned from journalism into publishing and works every day with sponsors or other partners in order to build our business, the single most compelling thing I've found that a woman in business or anyone in business can do is ask an informed question about the other person's business goals. This is a way you communicate your interest, how educated you are about their business,
Right.
and your desire to help.
Well, and I think it's so lovely too to just go into any relationship, whether it's a networking relationship or an established professional relationship, to say, tell me about you, right? Or how can I help you, as opposed to gimme, gimme, right? It's just a lovely way to start a relationship.
It's true. My friend Porter Gale wrote a book called Your Network is Your Net Worth.
Yeah.
And she talks about the gift economy that is social networking. And you've just described it perfectly, Caroline.
So, Lisa, you talk about a defining moment when you realized the power of the internet, both for your career and for women in general. Talk to me about that.
This has happened to me twice. Once in the first bubble in 1998, and secondly in founding BlogHer. In 1998 to 2001, I was very fortunate to be the editor in chief and vice president of programming at women.com.
Hmm.
This was the first original programming site for women, and we had the privilege of putting 11 Hearst magazines and 2 Rodale magazines online. Brands like Redbook and Good Housekeeping and Cosmopolitan and Prevention's Healthy Ideas. Well, here was my big aha moment. I had been told when I left CNN to go online and work on women.com that women would never go online in large numbers. And
Huh.
I thought, well, that's crazy. I'm a mom, and like the most fun I have in a day that's just for me is my 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
baby's asleep. But the fascinating thing was, here I was putting the most amazing magazine content, 100-year-old magazines online, right? The Good Housekeeping seal of approval online. And I'll be darned if I could get those women out of the message boards. We had
Wow.
message boards with women who were talking about everything from how to negotiate for a raise to how to plan for their Christmas baby in the
Hmm.
message boards. And they were addicted. The level of commitment and passion they were showing to each other and to the questions and answers they were asking each other. And I have to tell you, in 1998, the internet didn't really look like some of the beautiful user interfaces
Right.
we have today,
So
Caroline.
true. So true.
So I began to realize, oh my goodness, this is the single best content online. And so I began to source our best content from these message boards. If a question I asked was a big hit in the message boards, I knew it would be a huge story. That was the first big aha where I was like, oh boy, this is so social. I believe that message boards and IRC chats were the clearly the grandmothers of social media.
Brilliant. So it's the originating source of the conversation, right? That's where it all started.
Right. I mean, bottom line is, do we all love Lucy? Or did we just love her because she reminded us of us
Yeah.
back when we
Yeah.
watched that television show? Today, we're the Lucy Ricarders of our own
Right,
lives.
right. Beautifully put. So you're quite a business mogul too, because joining forces with She Knows Media has really helped you bring two great teams together. How'd you do it, Lisa, without losing momentum?
Thank you for asking. I have to give my colleagues a lot of credit. I first met CEO Philippe Guelton in 2013. And of course, I knew of his work with magazine companies like Hachette Filipacci. He
Hmm.
had done gorgeous things with MSN and with Thrill List. And when we got together, we started talking about putting She Knows Media's beautiful premium video and photography on their owned and operated sites together with bloggers massive distributed grassroots network who was talking
Yeah,
about everything from parenting to politics on everywhere from Pinterest to Facebook.
right.
He got it. So, what has mattered enormously is that the value of the grassroots reach and the authentic woman inspiring other women has been something that She Knows Media cares about as much as BlogHer. Together, we're able to package that grassroots conversation that's happening every day in a gorgeous premium video glossy package. And that, as we all know, is what the best sponsors and advertisers in the world want to affiliate with their brands. It's interesting. Since 2005, when we started BlogHer, the thing that has been fascinating to me is the degree to which that sophisticated, techno-savvy woman who is most likely to start a fantastic Pinterest board or write a terrific blog that we follow, or be that person on Facebook who drops the most interesting news
Yeah.
into her feed. Women who are already writing at the professional caliber level often have an appreciation of the value that great sponsors can bring to supporting and amplifying her work, right, across other mediums. And so it's been really nice to be able to find a win-win because our quality guidelines for community, which work in every medium we work in, are the kinds of things that make sure that readers, listeners, video watchers and followers can trust when it comes to how these voices are working with products and with brands.
It is fascinating to me when I think about how relatively young the internet is, right? I mean, we were born at a time where the internet didn't exist. Let's just
Right.
say that, right? We are of a certain age. However, it is still a young medium. But today's web user, particularly women, right, are using it to evolve their businesses and their careers and their lives. So, how do you, in your role, think about how you need to speak directly to your customers and stay ahead of the curve? Right?
Well, that's a great point. There are two or three things that we're really invested in at the She Knows Media team.
Okay.
Number one, above all, is quality.
Yeah.
So every content creator in our network, every person who takes the time to leave a comment is working within our community guidelines. We believe completely in the highest standards of written journalism. In addition, we insist on disclosure of advertising and sponsorship. And finally, we don't allow hate or harassment, either in the
Yay.
content we
Yeah.
create or
Yeah.
in the comments. We love the idea of being able to disagree civilly about a
Sure.
concept, but you
Right.
don't have to hate the ideator to hate the
Exactly.
idea.
Exactly. Civil
That
civil discourse. Yeah.
civil disagreement, in fact, has
Mhm.
been what we've sort of used to
Mhm.
codify that value. Because, secondly, there is no more demanding consumer alive than the human female. Okay?
Right.
From the
We
time we're
control the money.
18
Yeah.
until we're 80 plus, we
Mhm.
control and or influence 85% of household spending, including automotive and electronics.
Yep.
So, we're very, very passionate about advertising that reflects the strong role that women play in their own lives and in the lives of others. My wonderful colleague, the Chief Revenue Officer of She Knows Media, Samantha Ski, started an initiative called hashtag Femvertising.
Hmm.
It's all about messages that reflect strong positive models by, for, and with women and girls in this space. Because we find today, to get your question about what's the best advice that we can give to advertisers, marketers, and or people wanting to extend their own personal brand in this space, say who you are, say what you're doing, say why you're doing it, be direct about what you want to accomplish with women. Because boy, howdy, are these women going to be direct back?
Right, and we're savvy and we scrutinize and
That's right.
frankly we're all time starved, right? Time is a precious commodity. So it's got to be fast and efficient and focused,
That's
right?
right. So when we look at initiatives that we see happening online, whether it's things like, I'm sure we all watched the Oscars and saw Ask Her More,
Mhm.
that initiative, but those happen every day on our network.
Right.
People like Amber Gordon, who started an initiative called hashtag FemSplain. She even did a Kickstarter campaign about young women writing about the women's experience from a female identified perspective.
Wow.
Women are not waiting to share their version of the world or the news, particularly the many millennial and younger women,
Mhm.
where the She Knows Media audience reaching 165 million across social every month, as well as 85 million on our owned and operated sites. We really have a lock on the 18 to 24-year-old and younger. And this young woman is not apologetic. She is very specific about what she's looking for, what she likes, and what she doesn't like. So if you're working to reach her, you need to be on the social medium that displays your product and or your idea to your best advantage. That means Instagram or Pinterest for visual.
Right.
That means Tumblr and Periscope and Meerkat for video. That means a nice long form blog for text. And you need to be giving her an opportunity to discuss it with you instead of telling her what you're thinking at her.
Yeah, no speaking at her. I like
That's
that.
over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gone. You've got to honor her and make her part of the conversation.
We do a lot of training, both by, for, and with voices who are making transition from other mediums like broadcast, video, or text, but also sponsors at our annual conferences. We really look at these annual conferences as an enormous lab and training ground for women in social media to come together and share their expertise on what they've learned, what works, and what doesn't work on any different social media. What works on Pinterest isn't necessarily what's going to work on your blog.
Exactly. We're going to segue to the amazing conference that's coming up in July, but first I want to pick your brain a little bit, Lisa, because with the reality of social media and the accessibility, it years ago, people had marketing budgets, and those have been decreased because you can do so much on your own with social media, and this really interesting concept of femvertising, right? Will advertising as we know it go away?
I believe that we are in the golden age of communications for marketers who
Mm,
want to have a conversation about their product with their consumer. So, advertising as a tell and
yeah,
a show instead of as an exchange, I believe is on the wane. But what is on the rise is shareable storytelling. Look
fantastic.
at some of the funnest advertising we've seen in the past 5 years. And I must say, as a mother of teenage sons, Isaiah Washington's starring role in the Old Spice ad 4 years
Yeah,
ago or
yeah,
so
it's
is
brilliant.
an all-star, an
Yeah,
example of some of the best shareable advertising or shareable storytelling out there. But I also have a lot of fun watching Oreo roll out, little biteable cookies,
yeah,
in exchange for the royal birth. And candidly, as someone who is in love with everything Shonda Rhimes writes for
yes,
ABC,
yes, yes.
I'm a dedicated gladiator and I love watching the exchange on Scandal. It is obviously part of a marketing front for brilliant stars like Kerry Washington and the whole Scandal team to come online on Twitter and have a conversation about the show. And you know what? As a fan, I love it. And I have to
Yeah.
tell you, when she came to our annual conference to keynote last year, it was a standing room only
Oh, I
crowd.
bet. I
Her
bet.
expertise in Twitter is something I point out to other professional women all the time. When they say to me, how can I be both excellent at my job, an advocate for the things I care about in life? I don't care whether it's being a vegan or special needs children advocacy,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then finally, just be myself. I say, at Kerry Washington, ladies and gentlemen, that is an expert in action, right?
Brilliant.
Yeah,
And the engagement piece is what's so important, right? It's not
yeah,
speaking at anymore, it's having a conversation with. That's
totally.
great. Really exciting. So let's talk about the conference. BlogHer 2015 is in New York City this year, correct?
It is
So
July
tell us about it.
16th, July 16th, 17th, and 18th. She Knows Media is hosting BlogHer 15 at the Midtown Hilton, and we are extremely excited about the combination of um, special events that we have planned. There are a couple of major speakers that I don't have the liberty yet to announce,
Sure, I get
Caroline.
it. They're
I'm so
embargoed.
That's right. But we
Coming
have
soon.
exactly, we have the same caliber speakers that we have had in the past. And as you may know, we have had the privilege of having Martha Stewart, Katie Couric, Soledad O'Brien, Christy Turlington, even President Obama opened
Wow.
one conference with a video live stream. So, what we expect this year to have is a combination of opportunities for people in the industry and as bloggers to discover entirely new voices. Every year, we introduce a speaking roster that is majority new speakers,
Wow.
people who have blown minds in the past year. So you can expect to see women like at Feminista Jones, who started the whole national moment of silence in the wake of the Ferguson, Missouri
Yes,
initiative,
yeah.
led a 22 city following for that. At the same time, Amber Gordon from Femsplain will be there. We will also have Carrie Hammer, who is changing runways by having real women, real models, modeling real clothes, looking really fantastic.
Neat.
And of course, the super hot, always very, very interesting um, group of people we have come to rely on as part of our resident advisory board. Lovey Ajay, who writes the funniest blog in the world, which, according to her and according to me, awesomely Lovey. And people like Mimi Valdez and Mayora Carter, who have been huge and important activists across the spectrum from um, welcoming people who are defining their own identities into the space, but also advocating literally for a tree grows in Brooklyn,
Wow.
in New York. So we're very, very proud of this group.
And is registration open or is that coming soon?
Registration is open. We are not yet sold out, although we do tend to sell
I
out.
bet you do.
One of the biggest highlights is our annual Voices of the Year celebration, where the community recommends and celebrates about 80 different writers, photographers, and video bloggers for their unique and special contribution to the space. It's
Wow.
been a huge, huge year from fashion to politics, and we're really excited to introduce some of the new voices that we see and that the community has loved.
Brilliant. Lisa Stone, what a joy to have you on. I'm so excited and I'm very grateful and appreciative for all of your wisdom and expertise. Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you, Caroline, and congratulations on having such a compelling and important podcast. It's really a service to us all.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. And I want to thank our listeners for tuning into Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. True career and life satisfaction is possible, and it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.